Very intelligent controller, and it does. Hey, what's up? It's Scott Balkum here from Imagination Creation Films, and today I wanted to give you a little bit of a tour of the van progress. I've posted a couple of videos out there. They were kind of hodgepodge because I really, when I really get into something, I don't stop to video it, and that makes me a bad vlogger for sure. But I wanted to kind of give you a tour, maybe like a little bit of a walking tour. Maybe not a walking tour. A Christopher Walken tour of the van build as it is. I've been working on the electrical system. I did the bed. We started on the bed platform on Saturday morning. I've been kind of thinking about it and trying to figure out what is the best way to possibly do it. And so far I'm not unpleased with what I've done. I think it's going to work. I've got to figure out how to do the partitioning inside, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. I also want to go through the electrical system, which I put in. It's not complete. I've got a basic functioning system right now because I have a shoot coming up this week, and I need this vehicle and the remote ability. Let's kind of do a tour here. This is the driver's side of the van, and what I have here, I have these UB8D. These are 8D batteries. That means they are 250 amp hour, 12 volt, and I actually have two of them. I have one here and then on the exact opposite side of the van over here. These are mounted to the frame using an angle iron frame that my brother built, and they're welded up, and then I have them anchored to the actual tie-down posts that are here, and then there's one over there. So they're not going to go anywhere. And then they're also strapped over the top. I did not want to use a ratchet strap because I find that they rattle a lot and they can kind of dig into the battery. So there's just a piece of aluminum on top with some all thread that's been welded onto the frame itself. We'll kind of go through this. Don't really have anything I can point with. That's kind of a shame. This battery here is tied directly over to the other side over here, running on these cables right here. You can see there's two, one IO, whatever it is. It's a pretty thick cable. They're rated for 200 amps. It goes up and over and then comes back down and mounts up to that battery over there. So these are tied together. That gives me 500 amp hours of total battery. Of which I will only consume 250 because you're not supposed to bring AGM batteries down, or any kind of lead acid battery down below 50%, or you'll just kill the battery. Now, the next connection that's on here is another 1IO cable, 1-aught, that's what I'm thinking, 1-aught cable that goes up to this battery disconnect. This is a switch that you can turn off and on, and it allows me to pull the power from the battery at any given moment. This comes out and goes into, this is just basically a high amperage multi-distribution point. So you can see that, pull this off. You can see it just connects up. It's just a bus bar, and that bus bar allows me to have multiple tie-ins with the 12 volt power. It's also plastic shielded, so that you don't accidentally take your metal wrench or anything and cross it. So then it goes into this 12 volt bus bar. From here, I have another one that comes off and goes into this switch. This switch is to isolate out the Sterling battery charger, which is this guy right here. And we'll go into that one in just a minute. I can tell you right now, the switch, I do not like where it's at. I'm going to move it in front of the Sterling, because this right now, if I turn it off, it disconnects the charger from the battery, but it does not disconnect the power to the charger, which is really what I wanted to do. But we'll get into that one in a second. Then I have another large cable here. This one goes down over here to this inverter, which is right there. It's a 1,000 watt inverter. It will be a 2,000 watt at some point. I don't need it yet, but it will be at some point. But it's live and active and working well. So this wire right here traces over to the fuse. It's an 80 amp fuse which runs all the way down this guy, way down there. That is a 12 volt fusible connected multi-distribution block. So there's a bunch of these little, standard automotive fuses in there, and 12 different terminals that I can plug in lights and all that stuff. So it's a distribution network, fusible distribution network for the van. And for that, I'll have like USB chargers will be connected to that. My lights, my Max Air fans up above are connected to it. Pretty much anything that runs 12 volts in here is going to be connected to that. We'll have some lights all the way around that are going to do the same thing as well. The negative side, so same thing here. It's routed. This negative goes all the way over and connects up to that battery. This goes over to this. From the negative of the battery, it goes over here. This is a shunt. The shunt is used to measure amperage and also voltage differentials. I pretty much can tell you anything about the current draw that's happening on your 12 volt system. This will get connected up actually to a monitor, which is not here. It's in the house. I haven't wired it up yet. But then it goes into also another 12 volt distribution block. This is the negative side of the house, and the same connections go. So I do have a connection that grounds it to the actual van chassis because you want to have that done. But the inverter and the 12 volt distribution over there also have 12 volt negative connections as well, directly from the battery system, just the most efficient way to do it. So this is my Renogy solar 40 amp charge controller for my solar. It is an MPPT, which means it will adjust the voltage if it can to compensate for shade or what have you. And it's a very intelligent controller, and it's an intelligent solar battery charger, and it does come with a monitor panel as well. This one plus the other one that I have should be able to tell me basically everything that's going on with my system at any given time. I may end up buying the remote for the Sterling Power battery charger. I just don't know yet. I don't know to what extent I need it yet. Okay, so let's go into the Sterling Power battery to battery charger. What that is, every Sprinter now, the new ones, have a highly intelligent electrical system. They know everything that's going on at all times, even down to the light bulb. If a light bulb fails, there's a resistor in it. It knows that that particular light bulb has failed, it'll throw an error. You have to be very, very careful when hooking up to your Sprinter electrical system because bad things can happen pretty quickly, and it's very expensive. So you can only pull so much power off of the alternator from the van, or else it's going to start throwing errors. So what this is a battery to battery charger. What it does is it hooks from the starter battery on the van, and it runs back here, and it ultimately connects this battery. It doesn't connect it to it. What it does is it connects to the 12 volt starter battery on the van, and it runs back into the unit itself. The unit then will charge these batteries at a maximum of 60 amps. They can't go any higher than that. It won't do it, but that's good for the alternator. The alternator is actually really capable in these vans. I think it's like a 270 amp alternator. It's really big, but you can't pull that much from it or else the system complains and you got a problem. So you limit it to about 60 amps. 60 amps is not quite enough to keep these charged by the usage that I'm going to use, but I have solar to compensate. So that will produce a maximum of 60 amps, and the solar is going to produce an additional 20. That gives me about 80 amps. That should be enough. We'll just have to see. I do have some portable solar panels that I can throw out if I don't have enough, or we can just add a couple more up top. I don't know exactly how many I'm going to be able to get up there. I know I can get 400 watts up there right now. We'll just have to see what I'm willing to do. But the way this thing works is it detects. It's very intelligent. It detects when your engine is running. When your engine is running, the alternator puts out more than 12 volts. It puts out 14 point whatever it is. It detects that 14 volts is present, and then it starts to ramp up and starts charging the battery. It knows what the voltage is on the battery based upon how it measures it. It's really a simple charger. You connect positive battery, not the alternator, to the input, and then the output goes to the battery bank here, and then you got to hook it up to ground. That's pretty much it, and it just self-operates. You got to select the battery once. It is beeping. It's got a little, so that little red light that's flashing, I just wondered. I watched it. I was just not trusting that it was going to shut itself down, because the last thing I want is for it to destroy my battery, and I can't start it. What it does is the ignition comes off, and it senses a voltage drop, and I watched it happen. It takes about a minute and a half. And in that minute and a half, it said, well, there's a voltage drop, and it doesn't look like there's enough amperage now, so let me bring it down. It ramps it down, and it watches and watches, and then it just times itself out and then turns it off. And so right now, the little, I guess the little flashing LED is just to let me know that it's just sensing. Now, the reason I said earlier I wanted to move that switch is because right now, if I kill that switch, it's still going to be powered by the engine. It's still going to be powered by that battery up front, and it knows it. And so it'll beep and say, I don't have a battery. I'm going to move that battery switch to right there. And then that way, when I turn it off, it kills the connection and it cannot be fed. That's probably a safer alternative. It's not really a big problem, but that's what I'm going to do. That is basically the electrical system as it is right now. I do have 400 watts of solar to go up top. Those are going to get installed. I have the roof rack that I have to put up there. Well, I have roof rails, and then I have to manufacture some solar mounts for the solar panels that'll go up there. Then we'll feed those down into that charge controller. The charge controller will go into the 12-volt bus, and then I'll have an additional 20 amps. And that's going to happen all day long, whether I've got the engine running or not. It's just going to be charging it. And since it's smart enough, it won't. Since it's smart enough, it won't kill. Since it's smart enough, it won't overcharge the batteries, because it knows it's an AGM battery as well. So that pretty much run down the electrical system. Now I can kind of show you what I've done with the bed. So what have I done with the bed? That is a great question. Here it is in all its fantastic glory. What this is 3/4 inch birch plywood. And these are 1x3s. These are Pine Select, so they're really nice pieces of pine. I can put a lot of weight on it. It deflects very, very, very little. The way this is done, as you can see here, we've been looking at the electrical system. I've got plywood, 3/4 inch birch, that has been cut out to the wall, and it's been fastened to the wall right here with these self-tapping sheet metal screws. And then I have the same on this side. Now, the way this works, just simple design 101, these are vertical, which means that all the weight of the bed goes straight down the plywood into the floor, into the van floor itself. So this is exceptionally strong vertical. Now, vertical. What happens is if it were to bow, or if it were to kick out, and that's what the screws are for, they're just to keep it in vertical alignment. So they're not really, it's not going to rip away from the wall. It's not trying to rip away from the wall. It's just keeping it in place. And then I have up under here, which hopefully you can see, that's a 2x2 right there. This is screwed in from the back side of the plywood. And then these are 1x3s that are apart every 16 inches or so, all the way down. And so the 2x2 being connected to the plywood gives me basically 3 inches of ledge for the plywood to sit on, which, I could just put it right on the plywood, but I mean, that's like 3/4 of an inch. That's not enough. That gives me a full 3 inches of a ledge. You can see it kind of in there for the bed to sit on. And then it's the same thing on the other side. Now, the plywood here is in 2 sections. The plywood is 48 inches this way, and then there's a 32-inch section, leaving a 80-inch total bed length. I am a really tall guy, so I need a full 80-inch bed. Now, I had put this right up against basically the corner of the van, thinking that these doors were going to fill this gap. They don't, actually. They don't at all. And so I'm likely to cut, well, let's see what we get here. So when we shut those doors, you see how much distance that is? That tells me. The doors come to right here. So that is a good 4 inches that I can cut off. So if I took 4 inches off of the bed at the front and shortened it, and then pushed the whole thing back 4 inches, and then built just a little ledge right here, then I gain 4 inches in the front of my living working space. And I think that would be useful, but I'm not gonna do it today. So this mattress is a Zinus. It's they call it a T, but it's a memory foam on top of some rigid foam, and it has a gel layer in there, so it should be a little cooler to sleep. We do have the 12-inch mattress in the house, and we actually love it. I have the 8-inch here, and I haven't slept on it yet, but it seems pretty supportive. I'm a big guy, so it wouldn't shock me if I kind of sink down into this one a little more than the 12-inch. But you know, the 12-inch, man, it's resilient as heck. It's amazing. But I'll put a link to that mattress down below, as well as all this other gear you may be interested in. Wiring diagrams, I don't have one. I borrowed one from somebody else that had posted on a forum group. I don't remember who it is. I apologize, but he did a really nice job detailed, and quite a few people have them out there, so feel free to ask people. Let's go around to the side real quick, see what we see. So in the front here, we have moved, like I said before, we moved these seats back about maybe 12 to maybe 15 inches. And what that does is that gives a whole lot more room there. And I'm gonna have a fold down desk that can be moved out in front so that I could work right there. But it gives me a nice sofa basically. And I do have kids, many adults that like to go places at times. So I need the extra seats. I did order a swivel seat bracket for this passenger seat. They're all on back order, so I don't have that yet. But you can see the amount of room I have right now, hopefully. So you can see the bed. So if I move that back 4 inches, it will give a little bit more room. But the idea here is that in this corner right here, we're gonna have a sink and a little stove, and then we'll have cabinets with drawers there as well as there. And then over here we'll do the same, but I want this middle to be openable so that I can get to my equipment and gear that's underneath there. And then on the one side over here, the mattress is not pushed all the way over that way, but this side we will go up with cabinets all the way to the top, and we're gonna have cabinets along the whole roof area here. There's one of the Max Air fans, and there's another one up there. This one has actually been wired in. It can be used. That one, it got so hot earlier, I didn't want to do it. That is it in a nutshell. So this is that Thinsulate. It was hard to see earlier in the other video, but you can see it's kind of like this pocketed, I called it foam, and it's definitely not foam. It's, you know, I don't know what it is. It's Thinsulate, it's 3M. But it actually goes up very, very good. It's I mean, you can see it stays together, and this is a thick piece right here. You just spray both sides of it with the heavy duty strength 3M spray, and yeah, it just sticks, and it has not come down. I was worried that this was going to fall in the Texas heat. Didn't even move, hasn't even come close. It's on there, and I like that. But I want to build kind of a wall here using plywood that goes up this way. Same thing right here. I want to go up this side. I probably will limit and make that more my utility side, so that I'll probably install water over on this side. I don't know, electricity and water, but we'll just have to see, because it makes more sense for it to be over there. And then over here, I'm going to build kind of a platform here, and then over where it's level with the wheel well, and it'll go all the way back. That gives me a really large cargo area that goes all the way 80 inches back that I can put all of my gear in. I mean, we'll just have to see. I mean, this is not intended to be a full-time livable vehicle, so I don't really need all the storage that a lot of people put in theirs. But I'm going to put it in anyway, just in case. I mean, the most I'm going to take in this, maybe 3 weeks. I just don't know yet. So far, I've learned a whole bunch from all you lovely people on YouTube and other groups that have shared so much of their builds, and I appreciate that. If you want more information on this Sprinter build or anything else that I'm doing, even my short films or my daily vlogs or anything like that, please click the subscribe button down at the bottom and click that little alert bell next to it. That'll notify you when I put a new video. I'm going to be mixing in short films, daily vlogs, van builds, DIY, reviews. I mean, just anything and everything. And I know it's all over the place, and people's subscriptions are limited. People don't want to just subscribe to anybody and anything, but I'm not going to waste your time. I try to put together really good quality stuff that makes sense. And, you know, if you don't like it, I appreciate that. I respect that. But if you do, you're going to want to know when I post. And I'm going to be posting a lot. So if you click that, please leave a comment down below. If you need anything, any information on what I've built here, I mean, I'm happy to share. This is not proprietary in any way. In fact, it was quite easy. And I'm happy to share that at any time. Yeah. Y'all be good out there.